Hey ratbags, I'm back with another ultimate guide. This time it's the Haze and the Haze Laboratory, a huge area to explore. It might take you many in-game days to get all the resources from exploring all the deep trenches and of course getting the Haze burgle chip, which unlocks oven baking so that you can go ahead and start making globlets as well as mushroom bricks. So I've broken this down into two sections. We're going to start off actually with the Haze Laboratory because that's the main one that I'm sure most of you want to get help guiding you through. And then use timestamps to skip to the turning off of the haze gas and all the surrounding trenches. An absolute ton of raw science, loads of upgrade materials and of course milk and mega milk molars, but not as many scabs as you would think. Let's go, leave a like, make sure you're subscribed if you want to see more Grounded Guides gameplay, and check out all the rest of my ultimate guides, getting you ready for 1.0 of Grounded. So bring the following with you: a Weevil mask, make sure it's fully repaired. The gill tube or the diving helmet, the bubble helmet, a tier 2 axe and a tier 2 knife, the bone knife. You won't necessarily need lots of food or water. You could go to the trouble of making mint arrows, but otherwise I would say just bring a decent club with you. I would say the haze is the third laboratory you want to do after the hedge and then the pond, but there is still kind of a gating process as you won't be able to get the charcoal pieces until maybe you get antlion armour later. See, I've picked up this sad stab scab, and that's where you want to head over to the cassette tape, which you'll find towards the southwest of the map just past the haze area. But it also gives you a good indication of where to go because you're going to go across the steps over to the exposed pipe. This is just between the big mega sandbox and the slab stairs. This is where you want to equip the Mertium mutation if you got it while exploring the pond, and you can technically maybe do this without some breathing apparatus, but I do think it's recommended you have something. Probably a good idea to bring a slime lantern with you, or at least make some slime torches, at least 4 or 5 to get through the water. And yeah, this way you're going to get your bone dagger out. Obviously make sure you still bring in your gas mask as you'll need it to make your escape, and you won't need any bombs. You can go through a different entrance that's deep in the haze and you can blow up the doorway. But this way you are also getting milk molars and more goodies, and I think it's an easier way to do it, believe it or not. You mostly avoid all the infected creatures and you can simply just jump in the water as long as you don't mind swimming in close places. Once you're in there, it only branches off in one extra direction, and this is where you're going to find a mega milk molar. So take care of the water fleas. These are actually really good because they'll give you food and water and you can eat them raw. You don't get much, so you might as well consume them while you're on your adventures. But yeah, take the right hand side pipe and keep swimming down. You won't have to worry about any exploding nodules from the infection, but you will have to cut through some of the soggy vines. That's probably the one exception. You need to make sure your tier 2 bone knife is well repaired so you don't break on you as you're completing it. There's quite a few of these guys in here. They won't generally give you too much trouble. I was pretty much just going wild on them here, and I'm sure you could be a bit more careful if you're worried about your health. The haze is meant to be the third major laboratory that you complete after taking care of the hedge and then going through obviously the pond. Look out for some tough nuggets on the floor here and keep swimming through, and you'll come across a diving bell spider. This is where if you don't have the best breathing gear, you can use this to your advantage as you will get oxygen for killing them. Keep swimming, hack away through the soggy ropes and you'll get a 500 raw science and a mega milk, not to mention this scab which is sewage. Lovely luminous green. Once you swim back to the junction, you can get some more air up top and then it's on to the next stage. Now this will be a bit more dangerous as there's quite a few of the diving bell spiders here and here. Hack through and then sweep past them. In fact, you might as well just try and actually sneak past them completely if you do come across them. They will be pretty close to another soggy wall that you might have them come and attack you while trying to hack it down, but as long as you're really quick, you should be able to get through without them giving you too much trouble. Once this is done, you're pretty much inside the haze laboratory. So now there's going to be a bunch of the infected weevils that explode and they'll come chasing at you, but actually you can pretty much have them explode and not do too much damage to you as they won't follow you all the way to the water's edge normally. Fire a few arrows at them, why not, and then see if you can get a couple of their attentions. Let them explode and do their thing and you're good as gold. Just keep letting them kill themselves and you can go and explore. At this point you are going to need your tier 2 axe as we're going to have to destroy the exploding clumps. Always aim for the black ones with the white pimples first and then take care of the other more luminescent white ones afterwards once you've cleared them all out. You'll get plenty of fungal growth from this so you can now carry on starting to make more grenades and bombs. Now we'll be taking on a few TSTs, so you need to make sure you've got a decent weapon like either the Ant Club or certainly something that does smashing damage. Activate the biometric scanner and go ahead and take care of the one that will pop out. To the left of the entranceway there is 500 raw science, so make sure you pick that up. And then you want to actually hop over the laboratories to the right hand side to pick up another 500 raw science. Once that's done, you can go inside the laboratory. To the left is the main entrance that you'll actually come through from the actual Haze itself, so you can go all the way up if you want and get some more loot. There should be a whole ton of tough rock inside a chest, as well as some more story, as well as another scanner. And just at the back on the shelving there should be some more style and tough nuggets, not to mention some bandages. You can then activate the doorway, but you still won't be able to get out as you still need a grenade to actually blow the door open. But we'll get to that at the end, as that can be opened once we've cleared out the rest of the Haze lab. If you head back to the junction and take the right hand side, there'll be a story cassette tape inside the phase 1 window, and you can see the progress that gets made from the mushrooms being mutated. And inside the doorway you have a whole bunch of fungal growths. So these can be pretty challenging. You want to aim for the ones obviously closest to you and take them out, and look out for any sneaky ones that are growing in the wall. You really do have to aim upwards to really hit them if they're on the wall. And the one in the middle is hiding behind some glass. So clear out all the ones around the outside before attempting to take it on, as the glass might block it. Once you've completed all of it and sorted it out, you can then use the biometric scanner to gain access to the switch that you need. That'll open up the doorway in the second part of the Haze laboratory. For some reason you don't get any of the growth in this room as opposed to the stuff that you do get outside, so it's not even worth really going ahead and harvesting any of it. Go ahead and press the button, and inside again you'll find some more food, another few tough nuggets and the switch, plus another chest filled with style and tough nuggets. So head back towards the water where you came in, and you should have noticed there is another direction that you can actually go inside the water. You should have a doorway to the left that will now be able to be opened, as previously it was shut because you didn't have the switch on. You still have to use your hand on the biometric scanner and you get another piece of the lore. Now, depending on the difficulty of the game, inside you'll find much bigger challenges. If you're playing on your own, doing it relatively early, you'll probably only find a ladybug and some infected mites. If you're playing multiplayer or you've got it on WoW mode, you may find infected larvae in here as well. And you can't really cheese as much as you used to be able to do. As soon as you step into the room, and you will be trapped in here with the infected creatures. I prefer using the club, and even though there's lots of explosions going off, it doesn't have to be as challenging as you think it would. One thing I would suggest though is taking care of the infected mites first and then taking on the actual ladybug itself. It might also be a good idea to hack away at any of the growths that are growing in and around the area too, and then this reduces the chance of getting accidentally blown up. Now you might be thinking you could apply some mints to feather arrows, and that could be a good method to take them out, but really it's probably just better off, like I said, running around, being cautious of where them little bombs are going off, and just keep your distance, kiting any of the other smaller creatures or taking out the growths. I used to find this fight incredibly tough, and I would cheese. I would make the creatures come out the doorway and I would just kill them with loads of bows and arrows. But obviously since they've made that change now, you can't do it. So it's made it good, and it's got me a little bit more involved in combat, melee combat at least anyway. Be careful, for some of the growths are still locked in the glass, so it can be a bit tough breaking them down. But otherwise, just keep your distance, make sure you've got plenty of stamina and healing. You will definitely need some sort of fast healing items, either the granola bars or at least some sort of smoothies. And I'm going for the perfect parry system here. I've got the koi armor, which gives that extra window, and I've got some decent mutations like coup de grace to do some more extra damage. Keep whittling away, look out for the ladybug that will do a regular melee attack on you occasionally as well, and obviously the one where she throws all of her grenades, and eventually you will be able to take her down fairly simply. Just parry from that original block and you should be easily getting in 3 or 4 hits. Once you've killed it, you should get the truffle tussle mutation, which gives you a random chance of causing explosions when you are fighting not holding any weapons. Basically your fists become little mini explosions, or you have a chance of it. But it's still a bit more difficult as once you press the biometric scanner to get to the next part, you've got a whole ton of these infected mites. They can be a bit of a challenge to heal. At least one of them is going to take maybe 7 swipes of an axe. So keep going ahead. They will slow you down sometimes with this, and it can cause a lot of damage if you're not paying enough attention. But eventually you'll clear them out. I was using my slowly small upgraded tier 2 axe, which was only like level 1 or 2. And then you're in the main control chamber. Some more story here just in front of the screens. Then you've got the super burgle chip and you've got some of the grenades. Also plenty of granola bars to help you heal too. You're going to use one of these grenades to get through the doorway out, and then you're going to save one of them for the spade that gets you onto the picnic table a little later, and you'll save the other grenade for taking care of the rock underneath the oak tree. Just worth paying that in mind. With the burgle chip picked up, that's it, you can literally leave. Now you could go back the way you came through the watery tunnels, but otherwise, like I said, I prefer it just to go out the main door. And don't forget to pick up that tough nugget that's on the floor there as well. So back up at the doorway, throw your grenade, it'll blow open the door, and now you just got to put your Haze mask on so that you can run through. Now there might be a chance that you've already got yourself a tier 2 spade made out of black ant parts, and that's what you're going to need to get the gum to turn off the haze. If you check out my ultimate guide, I'll include everything you need to know about the trenches and the whole haze area, as well as how to turn the haze off. But this one has really just been about exploring the haze laboratory. So back to burgle, and what do you get for completing the haze laboratory? Well, obviously the main thing is them advanced buildings. So you'll get the oven, mushroom slurry and mushroom bricks. So you can now craft the next tier of building to keep your base relatively safe from other creatures and make it look a bit nicer, like a proper castle. It is 2500 raw science. Then after that you've got your choice out of things like the feather roofs for 2500. You also get the cookbook haze for 3500, which gives you extra critical hit chance with the lasagna, and then gazpacho soup is going to give you extra attack damage. You also get the pebblet turret and the sign set daydream. So onwards to part 2, let's go. Like I mentioned earlier, you do get the oven, but you don't get the ability to craft one until you get the charcoal pieces, which means you have to pretty much more or less complete the sandbox. I'm predicting 1.0 might have a little bit of an easier way to get some charcoal pieces, otherwise it is a bit of a weird mix. But anyhow, now we've done that, we can go ahead and start exploring the trenches by turning off the haze. The reason I don't turn off the haze first is because a lot of you guys might not want to bother. You might want to be exploring lots of the yards, and you can leave the haze for a good while later. Getting the haze laboratory chip is the main focus. So the haze and all the trench areas is a certain challenge. You'll get so much gear if you try and do it all in one go that you just simply won't be able to carry it all home unless you've got a pet insect, or you've definitely boosted how much you can carry resource wise with your milk molars. So bearing that in mind, I'm going to be doing this in sections. So first off, we're going to go and turn off the haze, and I do it by this way. Go all the way over to the decking area, and we're going to patrol it just on the left hand side. You will need a mask, or at least maybe 1 or 2 gastro goos to help you get through this area. And of course you will need the tier 2 spade that hopefully you've gone and got from killing a few black ants near their home. So keep following the deck to the left hand side. Underneath one section you will find a tier 2 style rock here. Climb on the large rock next to it and you should be able to glide over the trench. We will explore that trench in a second, but let's turn the haze off first. Sticking this way, you mostly avoid a lot of the infected creatures, other than a few weevils that will always come and hunt you down, and you will go past the mixer, so it's a good way to find out where this is to do it later on. The next section there will be another tier 2 star rock, and there should be some spider webs nearby as well. In the corner there should be an opening, go through here, and this is where we're going to get our first piece of gum. So you won't need to bring any building materials, you can actually get this gum just by jumping up and hitting it with the spade. Or if you've already got gum because you cleared out the black anthill or maybe the sandbox first, then you can go ahead and just simply run up and plug the haze. But otherwise, yeah, get this and then we're good to go. Hop across to the next rock and we're looking for a branch that's going to take us up to the first step. And from here, we'll be able to climb on top of the nozzle and then climb all the way up to the gas canister. Now, obviously, turning off the haze does mean that the infection will spread all across the yard. So you'll now have to deal with an infected wolf spider at the oak tree, as well as infection spots inside the red anthill, all underneath the other deck near the shed. and a good few other spots as well. But it does make life a lot easier in getting all the resources. You can earn around 3000 raw science by running through all of the Haze area, and obviously you get a lot of milk motors plus all the upgrade materials from the style and tough rocks, and that's what we're really looking for. That's why it's making life easier. Obviously you won't also need your gas mask. You can go ahead and use your better armor sets if you want as well. So again, it makes everything a bit easier getting all these resources. So at this point is when I'm going to head home, because I've already got a ton of gear on me and I want to make sure I've got everything else I need before going and exploring all the other parts. But jump on this Peach Fuzz Puncho if you've got a tuft, as it's a pretty hard location to trigger. You have to get on the corner of it. You might want to think about having some weapons that have got mint damage applied to them. If you haven't got the actual globullets made yet, then you could go ahead and use anything that does slashing damage, as it's one of the better things to use against a whole host of the creatures in here. I still think it's worth bringing your ant club in case you can't get away from an infected ladybug, but otherwise the main thing you're going to be fighting is the infected larvae. So we're back at the trench, the first one that you come to, just underneath the rake and next to the rake rock obviously. So we've got that tough rock there, the tough nuggets. Keep following and you'll run up against a whole ton of infected larvae, as well as obviously more of the fungal growth that you're going to have to take care of with your tier 2 axe. Now you might want to lead these guys on a bit separately rather than stand there and try and take them all on, and make sure you've got the right mutations. So I've got my axe out for this one, but yeah, later on you'll see me switch to my bone knife as it's much easier. Now these can be an absolute challenge. Sometimes they'll attack you in bursts of 2 attacks, other times 3, then they've got their lunge, and then they've got their 2 explosions that happen as well. So it's a real challenge taking these guys on. That's why you want to try and separate them if you can. Piercing damage does okay as well. Getting a bit of distance and using a bow and arrow or crossbow will also be good, and it does mean that you don't have to rely on crafting any weapons with obviously mint damage. You could just craft a whole bunch of the mint arrows. There is about 6 or 7 of these guys inside this trench, so yeah, like I said, always get up a bit high. If you find it difficult, take them all on at once. If you're following the trench down, you'll come across some bombardier beetle guts and obviously some more of the fungal growth. Sometimes even more of the infected larvae will jump down from the rocks above or the area around, so yeah, be careful for that too. And pay attention to the sides of the trenches, as you often find smaller little nuggets just resting there, so you really have to have good eyesight. And again, another reason to be doing this in the daytime and with the haze turned off. And again, we've got a couple more style nuggets here as well. Then you should see a mega milk molar, so obviously go and get that. And yeah, absolutely try and increase how many resources you can carry. Another stink bug corpse, and you can see in the distance there's a style rock there as well. Another bunch of these guys, like I said, there's a whole ton of them in here. Grab the rock of style, and we're in the last section of this trench. Couple more pieces of style rock on the left hand side, and then you can see there's a style rock tier 2 here as well. So all in all, there's probably like 12 to 15 maybe of the infected larvae that you'll encounter in just this one trench alone. And then there's a couple more that ended up getting stuck near the 500 raw science, and yet again some more pieces of nuggets. You can see here we've got tough shards. So there we go, that is trench number 1 done. To get out of this trench, you see there's a big rock there. You should be able to jump on top, or the little rides on the right hand side there. So I went and dumped all them resources that we got from the larvae and more, and we're back over to the rock rake, or even the rake rock. I'm going to climb on top of it now, as there's going to be a scab up here. It's also a good opportunity to test your metal against maybe an infected ladybug, but it's a pretty challenging place to fight one on the slope of this rock. There's a few infected mites, and then you'll pick up the Flying V scab, which has got a purpley sort of yellow orangey hue to it. Now from here you can really see the rest of the trenches, so it's a good point to look out and scope things out, but we're going to dive into this back trench here and get some more stuff. This one might be slightly easier, as you do find a whole bunch of the infected larvae at the bottom of the trench, so you've got a bit more time to grab the style nuggets here and then take care of the tough rock here. You really might think about having a bow kind of character built for this zone. You can just run along the top of the trenches and lay waste to them below, or maybe even using grenades. Keep heading down, keep checking the sides, some more tough nuggets, and you can see another mega milk molar over there in the corner as well. Even other strategies like using spike strips might work here as well to keep them or do some damage against them. But just to show you what you can do with a tier 2 bow, and I really haven't upgraded it that much. I think it was only like level 2. Does obviously take quite a few shots, and a larvae can jump pretty far, but yeah, it is another option. So once you cleared them out, you can safely go and get the Mega Milk Molar, another tough rock, and you've got plenty of feathers in the trenches as well. So it really is, it's kind of designed to make plenty of ice arrows and get the last rocker style. And that's it. Once again, I am full up. It's time to head home and dump all our stuff. Just a quick note, it can be tough getting out of this trench. You have to actually climb the plant that's inside with these golden leaves. So underneath the rake, you find Dan the Hamster Memorial Stone, I think named after a dev or something like that. He's still alive, by the way. And it's got a, obviously, wolf spider inside it. Now, this is probably the worst way to actually take care of this particular spider cave. There's about 7 or 8 of the spiderlings, not to mention obviously the wolf spider, and yeah, you can creep up on him sometimes, or if you lure out all the little spiderlings first, he might not be necessarily always awake. But yeah, I'm showing it this way because this is exactly what I did, and then I've remembered there's also a cave entrance that you can drop down and come through and face him, or even just run away from him. You don't have to go up the rake to find it, but this is the way that I did. I remembered it was here. It's just on the bottom of this area though, and underneath you should see a small little entranceway that you can actually just drop in. Kill the infected gnats and then pick up the tough nuggets, and then you've got 100 raw science as well. Then go ahead and crouch, and you should be able to drop down and cushion your fall with either the pool water or some of the spider webs. Now you will obviously take on an all weaver and some more spiderlings, but it shouldn't be too much of a problem. You can always jump in the water if they're doing too much damage to you. Couple more style nuggets, and we're at the famous skeleton that got changed in the most recent 2 or 3 updates, I do believe, from its old skeleton model to the brand new one with all this gorgeous lighting. We've got another style rock, and we've got more gum. And the last thing to grab is this scab on top of the actual tooth of the hamster syndrome, which is pretty blue and yellow. So you can exit out, and as you jump across the water, there should be some tough nuggets on the right hand side. A couple of style nuggets as you leave. And yeah, you might even be able to sneak past the wolf spider, or it might have even gone on a patrol, and you can simply just run out of here and get away quickly. Otherwise you will have to deal with a lot more of the spiderlings. Close by, heading west, you will find this small little hole trench, and it'll have 500 raw science, a rock of toughness, a rock of style as well. And then keep going west, and you'll come across this science outpost where I usually put a bed and some sort of storage. You'll find a clue to the pipes where you'll be able to get into the Haze laboratory, granola bars, and of course a 500 raw science sitting on top of it. This is where I set up my little outpost area with just a bed to respawn, although you don't really need to, because you can just keep respawning at the science post once you've gone and activated it or looked inside. But obviously it is a good way to obviously fast forward through the night as well, and I'll set up a little storage point as well. So if you hop into the trench, there should be a Mega Milk Molar just here. I actually got this one earlier when I was leaving the Haze laboratory. Another rock of style. Just underneath the leaf here, once you've taken care of the haze fungus, there should also be some style nuggets. And at this point I realised that doing a guide at night time probably wasn't the best idea. Another mint snack, obviously these are great for making the arrows. Then you might have a feather here, and there's another tough rock underneath. And then right next to it, next to the trail, there should be a style rock as well. At this point you may be thinking, wow, your shield and knife is fantastic, you defeated all them creatures. I did actually repair it a couple times throughout this run, so make sure you've got some bones if you're using the bone knife like I am, and obviously plenty of weevil meat. Maybe dump it inside a basket or chest next to the science point. But as you saw, there was another cool nugget, tier 2, and we're at the end of this trench now. And along the edges of this trench you will find another 500 raw science just in between the Haze lab and the trench. So next we're heading over to the Haze actual entrance, and we're going to go past it as there's a couple trenches. It's pretty close to where you mix in the back of the actual steps, so it shouldn't be too hard to find. And maybe not the safest place to get mushroom pieces, but there are loads of them here, and they'll give you mushroom chunks when you harvest them. So I'm showing this one on the map because it's not the easiest to spot, but it's just here. There's a couple of these types of trenches next to the stone slab walkway. Once you dealt with the infected larvae, 500 raw science, another stone rock of toughness, or style nuggets as well on the edges. This was the trench that used to have an absolute ton of quartzite inside it. It used to be like the motherlode, one of the best reasons to come through the trenches once you turned off the haze. Once you've dealt with all the infected, including obviously the gnats, you can go and get this rock of style as well, and some more nuggets. Not to mention some tough rock nuggets too. To get out of this trench, you need to jump up here, obviously looking for the exploding fungus, and there should be some other tough nuggets as well. Now pay attention to this though, swing around on this rock and there'll be 500 raw science sitting here too. Then go back the way that you came, go past the trench that we just came out of through the rocks. Here it is on the map again, as these are quite hard to find as there's not really a lot of landmarks to look out for them. I had an absolute ton of feathers in this one, and I cleared out some of the infected mites first. Once you're down there, harvested all the feathers, again you'll find tough nuggets in the corner, 500 raw science, another rock of style, one more mint cap and another rock of toughness, as well as some more nuggets around the edges. Also a quick note that you can't really defend too much of the exploding damage, even with your shield you're better off just running away to really avoid it. Exit via the stick outside of this trench. Head a little bit north and you'll come to the very last trench. This one's got a slope to it with some more fungus, and you should see the remains of bombardier beetles. And this is one of the only locations you'll find in the trench with a tier 3 tough rock and a tier 3 style rock. So maybe put a waypoint down so you can come back here once you've got the tier 3 hammer. Do pick up the 500 raw science and some more bug parts if you've got space. And that is pretty much it for the Haze trench area. Keep following the trench out there, and again some more bug parts and you're done. Hope that's been helpful. Obviously look out for all the other ultimate guides like I've said, and if there's any changes of course I'll let you guys know. Until next time rat bags, I'll catch you later.